Welcome, golf fans, pursuers of knowledge in the almighty dollar. This is your golf guru bringing you my 3M Open Championship. This is the Before the Lock show where I go over ownership projections, weather, my top value plays to help differentiate your lineups in the bottom area. And yes, that is Patty Perez on the cover. Why not? Everybody always puts all the big name guys. I'm going to start putting some of the, well, not maybe so widely known, but some of the characters on the PGA Tour. And you know that Patty Perez likes to party. Look at that hair. And he lives in Vegas. All right, with that said, thanks for stopping by, and I appreciate you greatly. And if you're new, I think you'll enjoy. I kind of cut right through the BS. We get right in the meat of it. And so with that said, let's do that. If you missed any of the previous shows, you might have not understood the comp courses that I'm looking at. I did put them in two buckets. I just want to go over this very quickly. So when I'm looking at the value plays and we're kind of banking them against some of these courses, you understand why. In short, the courses to the left just have a lot of water. Definitely tougher tracks, tougher fields. The WGC Mexico, of course, that was the one recently at Concession. Had quite a bit of water. You got API, the players, the Honda. Honda, I think, from how much water and how the course somewhat plays. Of course, PGA National is a lot tougher. I think it's probably one of the closer examples, just that the fairways at TPC Twin Cities are quite, widthier. I think around on average around 40 yards in width. So a bit different on that side. But other than that, about the same on the water. But these courses over on the right in tournaments, so you had the AT&T Byron Nelson, so it's TPC Craig Ranch. You got Charles Schwab Colonial, John Deere, where they were just at the TPC Deere Run. You got another TPC Summerlin, where they play the Shriners. And then the Barbasol playing at Keen Trace, a short course. And these courses are all on here because they're easy to score on and have some relatively, but don't have the water. So also they're all bent grass. And that's another reason why from a putting surface. And then if you're looking over here, this was just a quick, my model, a larger model I ran. And if you just look at the guys who had the most birdies, of course, you get some names over here, which is still shocking at Cameron Percy. And this is over the last 12 rounds. So just to give you a little bit of information that has already been covered, I just wanted to update you on that. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go right into ownership projections so you can start seeing where the ownership's going to lie. This is being recorded Wednesday around 1 o'clock. Eastern, and then we'll go over weather, and then we'll jump into the analysis and my top value play. Okay, so we're over into Fantasy National, of course, where I do all my research, and what you're looking at here is ownership projections that is populated. The number that we're going to look at is over here on the far right. How this is generated is people like me that use the tool to do research. You're picking your favorite players, you're doing mass entries and creating your lineups, and so they're taking all that information, hence get this number. This number is typically, as I always state, about 1 to 2% percentage points, either up or down, but pretty accurate. Typically, it comes in right about where it's at. So right off the bat, I'm just going to go through this very quickly. Of course, you can look and also see, but you got DJ coming in almost 16. You got Louis only at 12%, which is kind of interesting. From all the modeling I did, Louis is actually, I think, came up number one and is the number one play. And it's interesting that people out of these top 4 or 5 guys are not actually betting Louis here. I mean, I think a lot of it is even on my perception of how serious are they going to take this tournament, how much they want to be here. But if they are still have not withdrawn, which I've seen, both these top 2 guys, DJ and Louis, then hey, they're here. And, Louis has never still won a PGA Tour event on U.S. soil. So, hey, I think he's got just as much drive as the rest of these guys. I mean, they all... you got Tony, who, won the PRO. We talked about this, but still has not really won, I don't know, I consider a real PGA event, even though this is a lighter field, but I still consider the 3M a little more clout than, of course, the Puerto Rico Open. You got Patrick Reed, who missed the cut at the Open, so he's, jumped over here, said, hey, I'm going to play. He's trying to get Ryder Cup points. He's trying to increase his standings in the FedEx, but I think I even told one of you folks that reached out to me about Reed that I just don't like where his game's been trending. And it's not hard to look just at his recent finishes where he's been. I mean, pretty much since he won the Farmers, there's been some little, pockets of goodness. But he lost 3 strokes putting at the Travelers, which that just shocked me. to end up in like a 32nd at I believe it was around there, 32nd for the Rocket Mortgage. On that course, it's like the easiest course these guys are going to play, one of them, against that field. So for me, Ken Reed turn it around just like that. Yeah, for sure. But that's why, out of these four, I'm looking at Tony, and you can see he's the heaviest look. So I always leave room in dollars to when I do kind of right before the lock, like what we're doing now. I will build some lineups, especially in this kind of tournament in this field that is just all about leverage on the field. I'm just gonna make sure I have some lineups that are going against the grain, especially if I have some of my lineups are chalky, which at least half my guys right now are pretty chalky from everything I'm looking at. Sergio, I already mentioned, I think he's a great play. It's all about the putter, but no reason why he can't do well here. It's a little hard to pay almost 10 grand for Sergio, but it is what it is. Matthew Wolff, even though he's had very sporadic form, coming in at almost 18%. Tringali, again, hard to pay that price, but I'd say more of all these guys, probably your safest. I'm talking out of Wolff, Garcia, Grillo. Tringali is probably more of your condom play, safe play. Cam Davis is interesting to me. Of course, Grillo's up at 17, but Cam Davis, I mentioned this, he wasn't one of my picks, but then the more I started thinking about it, I'll definitely probably build a few lineups with him in it. Not like his game, it was kind of I want to say the win at the Rocket was an anomaly. A bit was. I mean, right, he had to chip in for eagle and make a birdie just to make the playoff, and his game wasn't really showing a lot. But if you just take a step back overall, thinking of Cam Davis, in what he has done and his talent over the totality of his career, he could definitely get some points here and be very live. Again, a good, good showdown play, and even a first round leader wouldn't be a bad bet. You got Bubba coming in at 16%, been showing really good form. Could be sporadic. You got Bobby Mack. Again, I just said not my cup of tea. He might prove me wrong. Pretty interesting that he's actually over here instead of playing over in Wells. I just, from a Ryder Cup standpoint, I mean, he must, I guess he wants to get his PGA card, go that route, get into FedEx playoffs. You got Ricky, who, sprouted up at some of the tougher places with around the green game. But still a little sporadic, of course, on approach, and the putter is still a bit of miss. I like Keegan here. We already talked about him. I'm not going to go over all these guys now. I'm just going to point out the highs and the lows. Lucas Herbert has fallen out of favor. He's only at 6.5. You got a spike for Maverick McNeely. Fratelli, no one's buying the hype that what he did at the Open. See what else. You got Hank Laboda coming in at, maybe the highest owned so far. Yeah, at 21%. So everybody's kind of thinking, Seamus won. I kind of mentioned already that why not Hammer and Hank? Is it finally his turn to win a tournament? JT posted. This is actually interesting to me. So less than 2% owned. He should have won the Barbasol. If you watched any of it, or if you just go look at what he shot on the back nine, he just had a few bad holes on the back nine, which allowed Seamus to move up, who had a few good holes on the back nine. And then literally the first playoff hole, he had a birdie putt. I think it was around 10, 12 feet. Seamus was off on the French. He chipped in, and then JT Poston had to make that putt just to keep the playoff going, which he did. They went to 6 playoff holes, and he finally just had just a bare hair little right that, bounce, went in the water, and he just couldn't play it. And still, so I'm just going to, if you're going on recent form and what this course, can play as in, approach and putting, I definitely will put some post in with that scene. So I'm just calling that out right now. Richard Wierenski, another one that, hey, he almost won this tournament last year. So again, just kind of interesting where some of the people's thoughts are. Troy Merritt, he's a local guy. Actually, somebody asked me about Troy Merritt in the community. I looked at him, like I said, he was just doing so much with the putter. But I guess he went to school, high school. I think the community guy mentioned, right down the road. And so, but I've seen, like, I think it was Ryan Palmer, and I'm trying to remember what event that he belongs to, the country club. Maybe it's Colonial. It doesn't matter. And he's just always struggled there. It doesn't, it doesn't make sense. So sometimes when you're playing in the hometown, it happened with Wolf when he played at Sherwood. I believe that was the CJ. No, that was the Zozo, I believe, where he did not play well, and that's where he grew up, played the course a bit. So it just that it doesn't always mean just because you got local ties that you're going to do very well. That's here's one for you, Michael Thompson, who actually won the tournaments at 1.6%. Again, I understand that recent form. You got Shank coming in at 14, one of my picks. Matt Kuchar, he's just bad form. It's funny. He at the Dell match play looked like he even mentioned that he found something, was getting his game back, and then it just hasn't translated. So I get that. Adam Hadwin has also done well here. I think he had a third place last year. But yeah, the game's just not showing, the stats. Brian Stewart, someone I'm going to talk about, local guy here to Michigan. Seb Straka, honestly, this I was going to look and review him, but the more I dove into it, it just was so hard to make a case for Straka on an analytics side. But if you just, again, take a step back and think about Seb Straka's game, long off the tee, usually pretty accurate, not bad with the irons, especially from distance. That might be a guy that you might want to sprinkle in. I might do some of that. I've already talked about Cameron Champ. I actually bet him. Let's see who else here. You got Patty Perez, someone I'm going to talk about. It's kind of shocking that he's at 10%, but again, that's an analytics thing, but there's a little more to it for me than that. Scott Piercy, less than 0.3%. I mean, there's also another play you definitely on this course could make. Rafa Cabrera, I think RCB. We're going to talk a little bit about him. Let me see if there's just anybody below here that's pretty high. Cameron Percy. Remember, you just saw that he has the most birdies on comparable courses, and so that's so funny that he's at 4%. I would never think of Cameron Percy as someone that makes a lot of birdies. I'll just put it that way. Tway, we're going to look at him. I like him. You got Duffner, which, has the long irons. Satoshi Gadire, I mean, for this price, how can you not play him with what's going on with his recent form? Wes Roach, we're not going to look at him, but from my understanding, I think he's just made a crap load of cuts. So that's a good, safe play at 6,300. And I think that's really it. You got Gellerman, who, kind of pops up a little bit. I actually think I have a bet on him. I think it was like 300 or 400 to 1 to win the thing. I mean, just a total shot in the dark. Okay, that's it. But that gives you a good understanding of ownership projections, where they're coming in. And if you want to also build some lineups that are going against the grain, you don't need to make all 6, but you put a couple of those guys in a lineup, you can go chalky and throw a couple of those guys, and you're going to gain leverage on the field. So, all right, while I'm at it, I'm just going to go over weather real quick. There's not a whole lot. Again, I just do this so if you are using Windfinder, and if you're playing Showdown, or if you're trying to, do an AM, PM kind of build, where you're going to want to go pull is Blaine, Anoka County Airport. It is right by the golf course. Right now, again, of course, this is, less than 24 hours out, but it looks like we're going to have some wind in the morning, and then it's going to kick back up in the afternoon. So, there's a bit of wind going on in Minnesota, but from a weather perspective, it looks like it's going to be a nice 4 days for golf. Again, wind in the morning, and then could pick up in the afternoon. These are gusts below here, and this is what it's going to be averaging. So I'll show you that again. So you can see on average, it's going to be worse in the afternoon, which makes total sense, especially in the Midwest here. Saturday, same thing. And it looks like from a wind perspective, right now they're predicting that Sunday is going to be, almost maybe like the Open, where pretty easiest from a wind conditions. So that's your weather. And again, I'm just showing you that to save you a minute or two to try to figure out what you need to pull up on Windfinder. This is the area, Blaine, Anoka County Airport. Okay, let's go talk about these players. Jumping over to Fantasy National. And again, as always, I'm not going to always state this, but just so you know, what I'm doing here is I've got no filters on, looking at 24 rounds. Here's a small mini model. I'm looking at one of the big things, of course, you got to go low. So we're going to check out the birdies over the last 12 rounds. And then, of course, over here, you got tournament history, recent results. And then kind of figured out a better way to kind of go through each of the courses or something. I'll show you that to you guys just a little quicker than me punching in all the courses. The first guy that I'm going to talk about is Troy Merritt. We already mentioned, a local guy. Right now, projected ownership, which is coming across here, less than 6%. Again, you can see he had a little nice streak here, a lot with the putter. Started downtrend. Of course, this is showing here the Open. I'm not so concerned about the John Deere Classic. Everybody can have it off, but, was trending in the right direction. And if we go hop over on to Mr. Troy Merritt, just take a look at his putting splits. He does gain on bent over the life of his career. Funny enough, in easy conditions, this is just showing, kind of based over their career, what do they typically do? And so he's neutral under, average strokes gain in a neutral condition. It does say he can handle a little wind. You can see this uptick on the stroke gain recently. And the way that I'm going to probably go through all this is if I just click on this, we can just look from, what they've done over their career. And this is going to show you their best finishes. And just to kind of see, so the Rocket Mortgage, of course, we just saw him, losing a playoff. Of course, that is bent grass. The Barbasol, again, easy track, easy course, easy field. Trying to see if anything steps out. I mean, Arnold Palmer, we were talking about that course from a water perspective. And see if anything else. Charles Schwab and the Byron Nelson were both recent and also comp courses, but you can look. He was pretty solid here, tee to green. If we go look at what he did with the putter, so at Memorial, you can see he ended up in a 50th, but he did it all on the putter. The Rocket Mortgage gained 7 strokes with the putter. The Valspar gained, again, almost 7 strokes with the putter. I'm trying to see anything more recent. He likes, that's bent grass again. He gained 5 strokes again at the Rocket Mortgage. And this Quicken Loans tournament, I'm just curious. I thought I clicked on it. Yeah, that's bent also. So let's go see from an approach side some of his last best finish. Typically it's approach and putting that's going to win tournaments. So this is that WGC Workday. That was at Murfield, of course, right before the Memorial. And that's also bent. So, again, you can make an argument, that you want to play some Merit. He had a bad showing. Let's just go back and take a look. So at the John Deere, what went wrong? So off the tee, whatever. I'll take neutral for him. Lost on approach, lost around the green, and then this was what ultimately he's got to gain strokes with the putter, especially if you're losing strokes here. But you can see here, really didn't gain a whole lot, but was green, but gained a lot with the putter. So again, you can see if you take the totality of like the last 6-7 tournaments, he's had 3 tournaments that he's gained tee to green plus the putter. But then you can see, as I mentioned, to even make some cuts, he had to just do it with the putter. Okay, that's Troy Merritt. Let's go talk about Kyle Stanley, of course. A ball striking elite. So you can see out of this field, he leads number 1 in ball striking, which is great for the long iron approach that they're going to need to do here. Again, if you missed the previous show, a lot of the success, and I think about 50% of the shots come in about 175, 200 plus. That's got some really long par 4s and also to take advantage of the par 3, par 5s. So everything is always good here. It's just amazing, his putter. And you can also see he's making cuts. His last best finish was a Charles Schwab, and he played here last year and had a T32. Recently, not doing a whole lot on the birdie side in July. But if we go click on Kyle Stanley, and I'll just show a couple things here. Of course, he loses on all putting surfaces. Funny enough, which makes sense in difficult conditions because of how accurate he is from tee to green. Can gain if it's a difficult course. What I think I wanted to show here, if we look at the putter. So his best putting outings, and this is what I wanted to look at. I think Memorial, is bent. That's what I just want to confirm. So if you were trying to make a case for Kyle Stanley that his best putting performance ever did come on bent grass. And Quail, I think, is Bermuda. Yeah, okay. So I can't count that. But again, gained 7.5 strokes. But if you start to scroll down, it doesn't go too long until you get into a lot of red for his putting. If we just look at where he's done the best, of course, won the Waste Management back in 2007. I'm sorry, 2012. Second at Memorial, second at Farmers. So you see a couple tougher courses he's done well against the field. The Memorial again. I mean, that's a while ago. The Puerto Rico Open was one of his best showings here as of recently. Trying to see anything. RSM short course. Wow, you see, just totally killed it with the irons. Shriners was a comp course. Charles Schwab. So really, you'd have to go down to the Schwab where he had his 8th, is about his most recent best performance. And he did it with a really amazing irons and lost 3 strokes putting. So all I'm getting to out of this is, of course, like a Griot, but even worse. If he has a good putting performance, if he just stays neutral or gains a stroke, easily could be a winner or a top 5. All right, moving along. Mark Hubbard. Kind of interested in Mark Hubbard this week. I mean, a lot of it is I like what I'm seeing here from Mark. He's actually a really pretty good putter. Can get very hot. You can see the birdies are just slowly been on the way up. Hence, what he's been doing here. I mean, he did miss a cut at the Rocket Mortgage, but other than that, pretty good showing. And if we go click on Mr. Mark Hubbard, you can see over the life of his career, bent is his best putting surface, gaining 0.3, so that's just a little less than half a stroke. And easy courses is where he does best from a strokes gain, which this definitely fits that bucket. And then if we go look at his best finishes over his career, you got a second at the Houston, which would be Bermuda. You got the Waste Management TPC Scottsdale at a 9th. And then you got the Travelers here, and also the Rocket Mortgage and the Safeway. So all these courses, and then funny enough, you got the Honda, which that's Bermuda. But again, I talked about PGA National being a watery course. So a lot of that, I kind of like how that's looking. If we look from a putting standpoint, his best performance, gaining 6 strokes, was at the Quicken Loans, which again I believe that Congressional, that's bent par 71. So there's some correlation there. But yeah, a little bit of it is just, I'm just kind of seeing a trend, and I think, I'm definitely going to put him. He's going to be one of my probably top value plays. And I like the ownership that we're getting on him. He's kind of sneaky. So Mark Hubbard, give him a look, see what you think, but, I'm pretty high on him this week. Brian Stewart, I mentioned, played at Central Michigan. I've talked about this guy a couple of times. Been showing some life. I like this right here. Again, that is the Barbasol, but also to see this John Deere, also the Travelers. Of course, the Open, I'm not worried about the cut. The Rocket Mortgage, that's, not super excited about that. But this I like to see. He's starting to really get some birdies. Ranking 15th with the putter approach. He's, top 3rd. It's off the tee, and a lot of that's, he's not that he's wayward so much as he just doesn't have a lot of distance. Let's go click on Brian Stewart and see what we got for him. So he does, over his life, hasn't done the best on bent. It's not his best putting surface. Gains on the easy courses. Let's go take a gander. Where's he had his best results? So the Safeway, which that should be POA. Silverado. Nope, that's bent. Okay. I always get that screwed up. So yeah, anyways, it doesn't matter. So the Safeway, bent grass, gained 4 strokes. The Zurich, that should be New Orleans. That's Bermuda. Just trying to see if there's any correlation with bent and him. I know it shows. So Shriners, that's bent, TPC Summerlin. So he's had some good showings on bent grass. That's all I was really trying to figure out here. Rocket Mortgage, funny enough, I think that's what I noticed. So his best putting performance ever in his career was at the Rocket Mortgage, which is bent greens. So you could, kind of make out of that what you want. And then if we just look at recent, what he's up to. This is kind of what, I'm not super concerned off the tee. He's not one that's going to do a whole lot from gaining off the tee. But I like what I'm seeing with his irons around the green and his putter. As you see over the last 4 events, he's gaining. So With that said, I'm going to take a flyer and try to differentiate a little bit and also go with some Brian Stewart. Cameron Champ, I'm just going to, briefly mention him. I told you from a betting perspective, I think it's a good bet. We saw finally some kind of life out of him at the John Deere. So that, I think that makes everybody, had high expectations for Cameron Champ. Just, of course, how he struck the ball off the tee. And then, usually it was pretty solid with the irons. Now it was the shorter irons, which is still, but it's just, once he gets within range, he just struggles. So we go click on him, and I'm just going to pull up, of course, Bent's his worst putting surface. Um, this is unique that he finally had green across almost a board and actually gained with the putter. And that's on bent greens. Now let's take a look. Has he had some success on other courses that are bent? I believe that is Bermuda. Just seeing if I see it. That's POA. Waste Management, I believe that's Bermuda. So Charles Schwab, that is bent. And that's pretty recent. He gained the John Deere, which we just saw. He gained 3 strokes. His best putting performance ever. We're somewhere out of nowhere at Sanderson Farms. And I'm just going to click on it and make sure, the CC Jackson is Bermuda. So with that said, like I said, it's all going to come down to, but where his wins, like the Safeway, I think it's, good correlation. We just looked, but that is POA. Sorry, just kind of scrolling through. Okay. Yeah, and I guess, like I said, the last thing is wanted to just look at the Byron Nelson. He had a good showing, of course, off the tee, but did nothing on approach. So of his last 5, he's, only 2 out of 5 he's gained with the irons. And you are going to need irons here. Let's take a look at that. I just want to see. His best showing was at the CJ Cup. That was Shadow Creek. Like I said, I always mix up the Zozo. What was that? Sherwood and the CJ Cup. I don't know why, but I just cannot differentiate them. That's by far his best showing with the irons. Charles Schwab, not too long ago, he gained 3. Of course, when he won the 2 events, you could see he had positive there. Also, ridiculous with the putter here. The Zozo. This was that concession right here, where you had some life, but the putter and around the green was terrible. But good off the tee, good with the irons. Okay, I think that's enough. I think he's a good bet. I think, again, from a differentiation standpoint, you definitely could plug him in. Next guy that I'm a little high on for this week, as you saw, I had him on the cover, is Mr. Patty Perez. And a lot of it is just, some good recent form. Either he's missing cuts or he's top 20, top 10. He's making birdies. Good on approach, always has been. Pretty good putter. Everything that I'm looking for, if he can just keep the driver out of the water. Okay, so let's jump on Patty Perez. We'll look at his putting splits. He does gain on bent. Bermuda's his best. Easy courses he can definitely handle from a stroke game perspective. Let's just click on where's he done his, where he's at his wins and as well. So funny enough, some tougher tracks. I think Wells Fargo's, Farmers. Shriners would be more recent, which is a good comparable, I think, from how it's going to play. The Players, that's a long time ago. The Mayakoba, the CMB. Names of these tournaments, you can see back to 2009. The guy's been around. Just trying to see his most recent best outing. Could be Mayakoba again. Up the Safeway was in 20. And we go look at the putter. Where does he typically also do well? So it's Bermuda. So his 3rd best putting performance actually just happened, of course, at the Rocket Mortgage, where he gained almost 9 strokes. So that's kind of interesting. Shriners is up there. Charles Schwab. So these are all bent. Valero, I don't know if that's Bermuda. Yeah, it is. Okay, that's what I thought. Okay. And let's go back and just see how he's doing what he's been doing. So approach and putting at Rocket. Didn't have his irons. And then Palmetto, which, let me take a look. I'm guessing, that's Bermuda at Congaree. Okay. think that's enough. But yeah, I'm interested in Patty Perez. You can see over the life of his career, does this very well. Has never really gained a whole lot with the driver. But I don't think you don't need to be a great driver on this course. You just got to be able to score. All right. I think Bo Hoag's interesting. I'm just going to show from an approach he's been doing really well. He's a good ball striker. It's all about the putter, which a lot of these guys, you see the birdies are up there. Recent results, this is a good trend to see here. And he had a 12th here, just last year. So someone next guy that I'm actually funny enough interested in is Adam Long. And this is going to be a little different because Adam Long is so like he's actually a good guy to bet to win, or at least even top 10. A lot like Max Homa. Either he's going to win a tournament and he's in contention, or the guy's missing a cut. And you can kind of see that right here. I mean, perfect example. I mean, he had the second place finish here last year, miscut the year before. A T23 or cut, T26, cut. We can just kind of go look over his little statistics. Bent he gains over the life of his career. Also, where he strikes is easy courses, and that's something that I know about Adam Long. Overall, he pretty solid player. He's just very hot or cold. You can just kind of see the Charles Schwab he popped up at the Memorial, tough track, 23rd at John Deere. Then you go down and it's just miscuts. 22 at the Players. Another course that, so let's go click on. So the 3M Open, it was actually his second best showing next to the Mayakoba. He won the Amex. Likes playing Mayakoba, likes the island course. It's also easier fields. TPC, Summerlin, where the Waste Management, did well at API at Bay Hill. So, a couple of tougher tracks. CC of Houston, tougher track. Showed up at the U.S. Open. But the Charles Schwab, a couple times he showed up. So a lot of the comparable courses that I'm interested in, he's done really well at. And we just look at the one thing that typically, is the key ingredient for all guys to have a top 10 or win is putting, right? So funny enough, his best putting performance ever wasn't that long ago at the Charles Schwab. And that was on Bent, and that was back, almost June 1st time frame. The next would be Waste Management. That would actually, I always remember, that's got to be Bermuda. Yeah. Let's go back. Sorry about that. I just always like to verify before I state something if I don't know 100%. The Memorial, that's Bent. Charles Schwab again, that's Bent. Travelers is Bent. Again, wanted to verify that. It's the Travelers and the Safeway. I don't know why I confuse those ones all the time. The U.S. Open played at Wingfoot. That was on Bent. So you can see where I'm kind of going with this is that when the guy has had his spikes out of nowhere, typically it's, like I said, it's miscut or bust. It's been on bent grass. So, you could do what you want with that. But the guy, when he shows up, he shows up. So let's see here. I wanted to see. And his ownership right now is at 2%. So it's my kind of differentiation play. And like I said, if he gets in contention, the guy does have a good chance of winning. The last time we saw him fighting to win a tournament, I want to go see why we're at it. It wasn't that long ago. So I'm not even thinking it was a 3 Open. I felt like it was, maybe it was Waste Management I'm thinking of, where he was battling at the end. Wasn't the Schwab. So it had to be right here. It had to be, maybe it was a 3M, but I don't, he wasn't in my mind for the 2020. Yeah, I guess maybe it was him, Wawrinski, and Thomas, and but maybe it's Mayakoba I'm also thinking about. Okay, anyways, I'm on Adam Long. I told you the reasons why. You can do whatever you want with that. I just pulled up RCB, Rafa, because he had some, almost a little bit, like my buddy here, Adam Long. He's a great iron player, was a very elite iron player. And when he gets hot with the putter, which he can, it's not reflected here in the birdies, so maybe not the greatest showdown play, but less than 2% own. I think he could be very live here. You need good long irons. He does that very well. Somebody you might want to look at. Okay, so talking about that, let's go take a quick jump over. I want to see, because we're going to be talking, there's guys like Duffner, guys that are pretty elite with the long irons. And let's go just take a quick look at my bigger model, because I didn't show this earlier on, but who's really good from, the longer distance approaches. So if I click on that, and this is over the last 24 rounds, I turned off all filters because I don't matter really any of that. It's just distance to the pin. Just some names that come up. So funny enough, Cameron Chapp pops, Joel Damon, Hadwin, of course, Kyle Stanley makes total sense. Davis, Bradley, those all make sense. Luke List, there's Duffner. Let's see who else. Sink, that makes, definitely seeing him a lot of close shots from a long distance out. Bubba, Louis. So just to give you some ideas from 175 to 200, who's the best, and then let's take one quick look. I was actually shocked. Where does Garcia fall on that? I would be wow, I would not know. So from 200 out, Garcia is 12th, but from 175 to 287th, I would have expected both of them. He would have been up there in the top 10, at least top 20. So you learn something new every day on that, at least over the last 24 rounds. And then Bo Hogue, 200 out, strikes, Ryan Armour, Ryder, Bramblett, Hogue, EVR. Just forget him, but yeah, I guess he does well from the distance. Got the Chez Reavie, of course, Neesmith, just an iron master. There's my Garcia. And Stanley again, pop up again. Hank Laboda. All right, just that was for both of us. That was just curious from that kind of distance who typically strikes. Um, Roger Sloan again, kind of had a little tail here at the end, but still had some good showings. Also had a 15th here back in 2019. Not my favorite pick, but just someone I wanted to point out. Wyndham Clark. Everything just tells me that this should be like a Substraka should be a pretty good course for Wyndham Clark to actually have a good showing. And it shows here in 2009 he did, but he's been in a bit of a funk. Last good showing was at the Charles Schwab. Let's just go click on him. He's not one of my top value plays, but just so you guys have the information, does gain on bent and this is why in my brain, for his game, you'd think he'd be able to play tougher courses, but he actually, where I've always seen him have success, is these easier tracks, easier fields. So hence Bermuda was the last time he really had a chance to win a tournament. And then the next one, funny enough, is a 3M Open where he had a fifth place, as I mentioned, in 2019. He's handled the Honda, which is a good correlation course. CJ Cup, I believe that was bent grass. We just looked at the Honda again. Funny enough, for some odd reason, he likes PGA National, which has a lot of water. Shriner is a good comparable. Travelers. And then let's go look at his best, because typically this is where he struggles. So that's Bermuda, RBC, Bermuda, Harbor Town. Again, just want to make sure that I don't misstate. I'm trying to see where, so maybe Safeway. So 3M Open, I guess, would have been where he's had, I think that's POA, and I think this is POA. Yeah. So, anyways, someone again that I think, maybe even from a showdown play, could be a very interesting. He does sprout up for a good round here to there. Scotty Brown's been showing some good life. I know he had a recent miscut, but you can see here from a birdie perspective, approach has been good. The putter, but someone that you might want to look at, and he's had a 15th here and a miscut. Kevin Tway, I think, is interesting. Been really kind of showing some form, making the birdies. Good, with the short game. The approach is where, he didn't make the cut to make my top 5, but I was really strongly looking. You can see Bentz's best putting surface. And if we look at where he's done well, the Safeway, Travelers, Charles Schwab, some of the easier, the Byron Nelson, that's not TPC Craig Ranch, that'd be Trinity Forest, Wyndham, John Deere, Rocket Mortgage. It just kind of just seems like a Kevin Tway kind of place where you could do well. Just seeing where from putting where he's had some of his best showing. So this is bent. This is bent, and that is bent. So, and for the 50th time, the Safeway is bent. So, he's had some of his best showings with the putter on bent grass. So, do with that with what you may. But I think he's an interesting play. Good recent form. And then Duff Daddy I pulled up just purely because he does the things you want here. It's just this. The putter is a debacle, but he's had this recent life. Of course, the Barbasol, really weak field, super easy course. But the John Deere, a little more of a test. Someone that you might want to consider. I showed you from a long distance irons he could be. And then last but not least, Satoshi Kodaira, who I've been, I hit him on a first round leader. I'm going to ride this train until, it's going to stop. But for 6,500, I think he's probably one of the best values. He's going to be chalky right now, 7.6. So you can play this two ways, right? You could, use him because he's good odds. He could top 20, top 30 for that price. That's, great value. He's making the birdies. He had a little bit of dip, and let's go jump on him so you can see a little more of the information on Sadoshi. Typically struggles with the putter, not nothing crazy on bent, but if you look at his recent, when he had the good form, right, he was just going nuts with the putter. And doing well tee to green, but it was the putter. And then he had a really good showing, gained probably the best showing he's had. Let's go look off the tee. So the RBC Heritage, of course, which he won, he gained 4 strokes. The next was just here recently this weekend. It just passed at the Barbasol. He's also shown good driver at the Players and the Shriners. And then again, let's go look at the putter. So it's kind of funny if you look. This is rare. When I click on the putter, his best performances with the putter has been, all recent except for the Zozo. Wells Fargo, Palmetto, Travelers, Byron Nelson. But also, he's had one of his best showings at the 3M Open with the putter, just purely looking at the putter. Of course, the RBC where he won, he had to have the putter, to help him out. So yeah, I mean, a guy is just on a heater. Putting is, so much mental and confidence. As long as that kind of stays, I think he's very live. Okay, I think that's enough. Gives you some ideas of guys that you might want to play down here below 7,500. As you guys know, in a DFS large GPP, these are the guys that typically win you the money. If you could figure these guys out, because it just unlocks all the other plays, and it's just the random dude that's going to pop up there out of nowhere, like a Dylan Fratelli at the Open, and get a 4th or 5th place finish, where the hell it was. So, all right, let's wrap this up. Okay, so to summarize, my top 5 value plays that I'm going to go with and recommend is Brian Stewart. We're gonna go with Adam Long, who make or break, man. Either he's gonna get you a top 20-ish, or he's gonna miss the cut. You got Patty Perez, just a good form, good putter, good iron guy, can score, also good showdown play. Someone to think about. Satoshi Kodaira, we just went over, just in fuego with the putter. Hope that stays that way. Also just had one of his best outings off the tee. And last but not least, a little bit of just kind of seeing some things all come together from Mark Hubbard. Again, I don't think he's going to win, but can he be a guy that could get you a top 20 at that price tag? Definitely possible. Has had success with the putter here recently. And so with all that said, that is my top 5 value plays. And that is my Before the Lock show. There was nothing I saw from a presser or anything to, really, like I said, we did weather. I mean, if I see something, you know what, I will tweet it out and hit it up on YouTube comments. Probably be a tweet. So definitely follow me on Twitter if you don't, for that kind of information, especially if it's a withdrawal or something happens. And again, if you like what I'm doing, let me know. Just click the like button. Share it with anybody else you think might like what I do. And then if you are not a subscriber, please subscribe. 3 shows a week minimum. You will get all the notifications when those hit. And of course, I do always have these giveaways. Probably going to have one coming up here for the FedEx. I don't think from an Olympic standpoint that their DFS is going to do anything, but from a betting, I'll probably do a quick betting show for that. So keep an eye open for that. All right, you guys, take care. All the best of luck to all of us at the 3-Home. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for being part of the community. Hey, and thanks for all the positive feedback you guys keep giving. Of course, I'm always looking for Anything that you don't like, let me know that. But it does help when I hear from you guys that you like what I'm doing. So thanks so much. All right, guys. Have a great weekend. Have a great tournament. Talk to you later.